Order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Peck,
Here.
Commissioner Angel,
Here.
Commissioner Arbkey,
Here.
Commissioner Jennings,
Here.
Commissioner Larson.
Would you please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This time we'll have the Citizens Open Forum, which is a time for anyone from the community to come up and comment or ask questions about anything that's not on today's agenda. If there's no one here today, we'll move on to awards and proclamations.
Item 4.1, the day of October 16, 2010, as Kansas Wesleyan University Inauguration Day in the city of Salina. Dr. Wayne Lowen, Executive Vice President, will read the proclamation.
Proclamation of the City of Salina. Whereas Kansas Wesleyan University is celebrating the inauguration of Fletcher Lampkin, Ph.D., as the 18th president of the institution, and whereas Kansas Wesleyan University has provided a strong faith-based education in the liberal arts tradition to students from Kansas, the United States, and around the world for more than 124 years. And whereas Kansas Wesleyan University prepares its undergraduate and graduate students not only for careers and professions, but also for lifelong learning. And whereas Kansas Wesleyan University prepares its students to be contributing members of the Kansas workforce and in commerce throughout the world. And whereas Kansas Wesleyan University prepares its students for responsible leadership in their communities, for useful service in and to the world, and stewardship of the earth. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Aaron Peck, Mayor of the City of Salina, Kansas, do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 16, 2010, as Kansas Wesleyan University Inauguration Day in Salina, Kansas, and urge all citizens to join in this observance.
Great. Do you have any special events planned to commemorate the day?
We have activities throughout the week, but particularly on that day, there will be the inauguration itself and a host of events. They're all found on our website.
Okay, great. And I actually have a couple signed proclamations here.
Thank you.
Move on to the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of September 27, 2010. Item 6.2, resolution number 106769, appointing members to the Salina County Solid Waste Management Committee.
Is there any item on the consent agenda that a commissioner would like to see removed? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. Moving on to development business.
Item 7.1, resolution number 10-6772, expressing support for the construction of a multifamily apartment units on the former Hawthorne School site at 715 North 9th Street.
Mr. Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. What you have before you is a request for a resolution expressing support for multifamily housing in some form to be located at the former Hawthorne School, and that for the availability of low and moderate income housing tax credits to help finance that project. And that's a financing tool whereby if those credits are awarded, they can be sold to investors and the proceeds of that put into a project as an equity investment. So it's a means by which the cost of construction can be reduced or bought down, so to speak. In exchange for that, the renting of any units financed with tax credits are limited to qualified individuals who meet certain income guidelines. The applicant here has submitted an application to the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation for these tax credits, and you recently had a request for support for a similar submittal over on Choctaw and West Crawford. This is the same group that partnered with Chodo on that, and this is a request for financing for 32 units of housing at the Hawthorne School property. We have attached no plan with this report, as the final form the housing would take has not been finalized at this time. That would have to go through a review process, both through zoning and regulatory reviews, to get to what that final form would be. So the resolution that you have before you is limited to support for the tax credit financing only, without reference to the particular form the project might take. But just by way of background, this is the former Hawthorne School property. It was owned by the school district and was made available through the redevelopment process they had for the other school buildings, and they did not sell those buildings. They made them available for individuals or groups to make reuse proposals, and the reuse proposed here was submitted by Midwest E-Services to reuse this as an office building. And they got zoning approved for that, and a plan that you had attached in your packet for primarily converting this to office space with the possibility of some housing in the upper floors. And so a planned zoning district was created for this property that allowed multifamily housing and offices both. And the specific plan, I think you, or at least a survey of the property you have in your packet. So there was a specific reuse plan that was reviewed by the Planning Commission, City Commission, and approved. And no change or amended site plan would be needed if a party wanted to go in and convert the existing school building to apartment use. If there was some new construction or redevelopment that might occur, that would be subject to various regulatory review processes of the city. So the resolution that's been prepared for your consideration is based on a format that suggested by the Housing Resources Corporation, and it is supportive of additional housing here, but has qualifying language that subjects any project here to final plan approval. We've identified 3 alternatives here to approve the resolution as drafted. You could postpone consideration if you'd like additional information about the project or clarifying language in the resolution, or you could decline to approve it at this time. I'd be open to any questions you have about the property or the proposal.
Questions of staff? I was curious, in terms of the maintenance on it, do we maintain that little separate north lot with our parks department? Or
Had a question. Is that a formal lease, Greg, or is just an agreement?
That was an agreement right now, and it's
Okay.
anticipated that would be title actually transferred to the city, but
The school district still owns it. And
Okay.
we use it as a park.
Okay.
That is not part of the development site.
Sure.
Currently, this property is owned by a bank in Altamont, Kansas. So the applicants have an option to purchase it from the bank.
This was one of the buildings, one of the schools. Weren't there quite a few at the same time that committees were put together to hear different proposals and then select from those proposals on?
There was, in that pool of schools, you had Lowell School, which ended up as Salina Christian Academy. You had Franklin, ended up with Smoky Hill Education Co-op. Bartlett, a proposal by Todd Welsh to redevelop that for offices was selected. And then the biggest one by far was the Roosevelt Lincoln complex, where they converted that to a housing project. And then the other one is Parsons, which is out on Holmes Road, and that was purchased by Schooler Green and turned into offices there. This was one of the last ones that was done and finalized all in 2007, and through a committee that reviewed Mr. Rose's proposal and thought that was the best reuse of the building.
Okay. Further questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
Hi, I'm Pat Beatty with Overland Property Group. We're the proposed developer on this project. If I'm just up here, if there's any questions on behalf of the commission, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Thank you. Is there any questions? I think we're okay. Thank you, though. Accept a motion.
I move we approve resolution number 10-6772, expressing support for the construction of multifamily apartment units on the former Hawthorne School site.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 10-6772. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. Moving on to administration, we're going to actually bring up item 8.10 first. Chief Mulligan.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to thank you for bringing that to the top of the agenda and allowing me to attend to a personnel matter here in just a few minutes. But well, the item that we have before you, it deals with our self-contained breathing apparatus, and particularly the apparatus that was purchased back in 2004. The commission report kind of goes over the history of that. Basically, we were informed the first of this year that replacement parts would not be available for our 2004 air packs moving forward, that they were going to cease production of those things. And we've had a continuing problem with these produced back in 2004. It was a time when NFPA changed a number of requirements for a self-contained breathing apparatus, and the engineering was fronted out to the industry, so all the fire departments kind of dealt with this all of a sudden. And we've had a lot of problems with the air packs, to be honest with you. They've been a real maintenance problem. They came back in 2007 and designed an upgrade for these packs, these air packs, to do with some battery systems that were troublesome, and to that would kind of form the path forward. So with the help of Rod France and identifying some funding, we were hoping to get through this year and get into next year and then do these upgrades. But honestly, we've had 8 packs. We had 8 packs down last time I checked, and as they fall by the wayside, we don't want to repair them with the old parts and stuff because they're a maintenance nightmare. And by redoing them and putting this upgrade into place, it will provide better, safer apparatus for our firefighters to use and breathe with in toxic atmospheres. So we were able to identify the funding to start replacing half of those. We have 50. I think there's 52 air packs or 53. We want to do half of them right now, then do the other half next budget year, and it would get us out of this hole that we're in. And thanks to Jason and Rod identifying the funding for us to do this now. That's the reason it's before you, and we're asking for your permission to move ahead and spend this $33,000 and upgrade these air packs and move forward. And like I said, the main reason is that they've even quit producing the repair parts for these breathing apparatus, and pretty soon that supply that's out there is going to dry up, and so we won't be able to get replacement parts anyway. So it's just a time for us to move forward with it. So we bring that forward to you for your consideration. And our commission action is to authorize the fire department to purchase Scott self-contained breathing apparatus upgrades in the amount of $33,000.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of the chief? In a typical response, 1/2 of all the units would still typically cover that need.
Right, and logistically, it's a real. If we try to do all 52 of them now, the time it takes to install the upgrades, and we even have to do some testing. We have to do some testing and training with these new upgrades. Our personnel are going to do some some training evolutions and things of that nature. So the idea of us just doing all of these at once is kind of a nightmare. It actually will work better for us doing half now and half later, and still provide us operational consistency and confidence in our fleet of air packs.
Okay. If there's no further questions, is there any public comment? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
See none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mayor, I move we authorize the fire department to purchase the Scott self-contained breathing apparatus upgrades in the amount of $33,000.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the supplemental funding request to purchase the self-contained breathing apparatus. As mentioned, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0. We'll move on to 8.1.
Second reading ordinance number 10-10,567, amending Chapter 38, Article 1 of the Salina Code by adopting the 2010 Standard Traffic Ordinance.
Okay, this ordinance was passed on first reading on October 4th, and since that time we've received no comments. Are there additional comments today? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 10-10-567 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10567 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpkey?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.2, second reading ordinance number 10-10,568, amending Chapter 25, Article 4 of the Salina Code by adding sections 25-74 and 25-75 pertaining to public nudity.
Again, this was passed on first reading as amended. As the clerk just mentioned, it was amended. And we've received no comments since that time. Is there any comments today? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number 10-10-568 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10-568 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpkey?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.3, second reading ordinance number 10-10,569, amending Chapter 25, Article 8 of the Salina Code by amending Section 25-131 and adding Section 25-131.1 pertaining to offenses against public places.
This ordinance was also passed on first reading on October 4th. We haven't received any comments since that time. Are there any comments today? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 10-10-569 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10-569 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpkey?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.4, second reading ordinance number 10-10,570, amending Chapter 25, Article 9, Section 25-151 of the Salina Code pertaining to unlawful use of weapons.
This ordinance was also passed on October 4th, and we've received no comments since that time. Are there any additional comments today? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 10-10-570 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10-570 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpkey?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.5, second reading ordinance number 10-10,571, amending Chapter 25, Article 9 by adding Section 25-162 pertaining to obstruction in ingress and egress.
This ordinance was passed on first reading on October 4th, and we haven't received comments since that time. Are there any comments regarding this today? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number 10-10571 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10-571 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpkey?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.6, second reading ordinance number 10-10,572, removing a portion of Lot 4, Block 8 of the Sunset Manor addition from the amended plan development district for the Natural Resources Conservation Office located at 760 South Broadway Boulevard.
This ordinance was passed on first reading on October 4th, and since that time, no comments have been received. Are there any additional comments today? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, we move that we adopt ordinance 10-10-572 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10572 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpke?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.7, second reading ordinance number 10-10573, amending Chapter 40, Article 1, Division 3 of the Salina Code by amending Section 40-63 to provide for a 2-year waiting period after an application for a taxicab driver's license has been denied.
This ordinance was passed on first reading on October 4th, and we haven't received any comments since that time. Are there any additional comments today? See none, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance number 10-10573 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10573 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpke?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.8, second reading ordinance number 10-10574, amending Chapter 5 of the Salina Code pertaining to alcohol.
This ordinance was passed on first reading on the 4th of October. We haven't received any comments about it since then. Is there anyone here today that would wish to comment on it? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number 10-10574 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10574 on second reading. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpke?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Mayor Peck?
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.9, first reading ordinance number 10-10575, authorizing and providing for the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2010-B.
Mr. Franz.
Mayor and Commissioners, thank you. This refunding bond issue will refund bonds issued in 2001 and 2002, along with both of our Kansas Public Water Supply Loan Fund loans. Those were originally issued in 1997 and 2001. We anticipate a savings of about $480,000 from this transaction over the life of the issue. Bond sale, second reading of the ordinance, consideration of the bond resolution are scheduled for October 18th. And we will also provide at that time an updated savings report considering the market conditions at the time and the pricing on the bonds. Just as kind of a side note, this afternoon, in a few minutes, I looked through our records because I sometimes feel like we refinance a lot. In the last 15 years, I found 6 refinancings with a cash flow savings of about $3 million. So, you know, it's worth doing.
Sure.
Over a period of time, it does add up to quite a little sum.
Appreciate your attention to this. Is there any questions, Mr. Franz? Thank you. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I moved we adopt ordinance number 10-10575 on first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance number 10-10575 on first reading. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.11, agreement with AMEC Earth and Environmental Incorporated for engineering services for the flood control levee, project number 092773.
Mr. Stack.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As we discussed earlier in the study session, this is a contract with AMEC Earth and Environmental to perform the analyses and design review necessary to see if our levee can be certified, the levee flood control certification, compliant with Title 44 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Section 6510, which will include freeboard, our structure closure evaluation, geotechnical work, interior drainage analysis, embankment protection, O&M manual and emergency operations plan amendments, as is GIS deliverable, final walkthrough, compliance inspection, and a final report with a list of corrections needed prior to final certification. Some of the work they've already done will help us in this process, and city staff felt like AMAC did a great job we've been very satisfied with their work to date so far, and they definitely have the experience and ability to perform this work and complete it in a timely manner. They're currently working for other areas and other cities in the state and have very good credentials and come highly recommended, so we're happy to try to get them on board again for this project. Some of the work, a portion that's required for levy recertification through 6510 related to the freeboard, will be completed through a separate contract with FEMA. FEMA will hire AMAC to actually do some of that work separately, so it's helpful that the same firm will be doing that work as well, and will eliminate duplicity and other reviews because they'll be performing that analysis, so that it does save the city some money and also gets us further down the road to certification. Funding for this will come from the special sales tax capital improvement program. It's a special sales tax capital portion. Definitely conforms with our strategic plan, goal number 7, that we recognize the importance of a community and our natural resources, and we make practical efforts to preserve them. And our action item is specifically this, that we achieve levy certification. I guess with that, we recommend that we get this contract approved, and I'll stand for questions.
Questions, Mr. Stack?
Mr. Stack, is this service a kind of a specialty thing within the world of consulting and engineering?
It definitely is, and when we went through the original consultant selection process,
Mm-hmm.
we sent the request to 11 firms, only 4 of which responded, and only 3 of which we interviewed that even had the possible credentials to do it. One of them bowed out in the interview of actually being able to certify, and then the other one had never done it before. So it was definitely there's some other firms out there, but we feel like AMAC is definitely familiar with Kansas. They're familiar with Region 7. They're the best for what we have around here.
Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I move that we authorize the mayor to sign an agreement with AMEC for the engineering services necessary to determine the FEMA compliance certification for the Salina Flood Control Levy project number 092773 in the amount of $582,150.71.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that I sign an agreement with AMEC for project number 09-2773. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.12, change order number 1 for the 2010 asphalt mill and inlay, project number 10-2791.
Mr. Stack?
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Stuff straight here. See, on August 2nd, City Commission approved a project with our APAC Shears division of the mill and inlay project for our 2010 mill and inlay program. We did receive a favorable rate for our asphalt per ton rate, and on July 26th, prior to that, the Bicentennial Center parking lot had been before you for repaving, and so since we do have a contract with APAC, we asked if they would honor their unit rates and mill and inlay the parking lot previously authorized by the commission for the Bicentennial Center, and they agreed to do that and charged us minor mobilization fee as well as the painted pavement markings that will have to be performed. Other than that, all the rates were the same. So we feel like it's better than we initially thought. We initially estimated it at $205,000, and they were able to honor that same pretty large quantity this year of unit rates, and they honored that for this project. So we, I guess, recommend that we approve this change order with APAC to get this project done. And I'll stand for questions.
Any questions, Mr. Stack?
Mr. Stack, do you remember when we first awarded this project to APAC, were they quite a bit lower than the other folks bidding on the project?
Well, that's no, because they are the only asphalt contractor in town. So it's more of a negotiated arrangement with them every year. That they're the only bidder that we have. So it's.
So if this went out to bid, APAC would probably be the only one that would respond.
That's
to it.
correct. That's why we did not feel like that going out for bid was necessary at this point. If they'd honor those same rates, there are other ways to surface a parking lot, but we feel like this is the best for the cycle that we're in. We've already slurry sealed it once, so it's probably time for a mill and inlay for this parking lot.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? If not, accept a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve change order number 1 for the 2010 asphalt mill and inlay project number 10-2791 with APAC Kansas Inc. in the amount of $188,000, $130.75. It's a tough
Second.
amount.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve a change order number 1 for project number 10-2791. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.13, resolution number 10-6770, setting a date for the public hearing to consider whether a structure shall be condemned or ordered demolished or repaired.
Mr. Curry, it's a new one for us.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. One of the responsibilities of the Building Services Division is to identify and evaluate facilities or structures that are potentially dangerous to their occupants or pose a risk to the general public. One such structure is before you today at 114 East Prescott. Normally, the process when a structure is identified, the contact is made with the property owners and information is provided with our findings to indicate what repairs need to be made or if demolition is appropriate. If those repairs are made or if demolition occurs, then of course that structure is removed from our dangerous structures list. In some cases, no progress is made or insufficient progress is made, and the city is required to pursue legal action to abate the dangerous structure. In the subject property, a notice was provided to the owners, all of the parties that had financial interest in this property, and that is provided as Exhibit A in your packet. Neither the owners nor the lien holder responded with compliance with this notice. If I may, I can give a brief description of what our concerns are with regard to this property. Primarily, the foundation has deteriorated significantly enough such that it is detached or dislodged from the remainder of the structure. The vertical load path is not continuous, such that there is a significant portion of the building that is not supported by foundation currently. The building is in danger of collapse if additional loads are applied, and those loads could be vertical loads due to occupancy or lateral loads due to wind or other such lateral loads. It's in danger not only to the subject building itself, but also to the adjacent structures in the adjoining addresses. Additionally, the building has been abandoned or vacant for over 6 months and subsequently has been the subject of vandalism and some breaking and entering. Currently, the building has been hasped and padlocked by the city in an effort to prevent further breaking and entering or vandalism. When the notices were sent out multiple times to all of the parties, several of the parties did not respond at all, and the only parties that did respond did not respond in a manner indicating that they had any desire to take responsibility for repairs or demolition. The process is a multi-stepped process. Today is the first step. What is before you today is the proposal to adopt a resolution setting a public hearing. If that is approved, then that would be published. The parties that had a financial interest would be notified. There would be a second publication in approximately a week's time, and ultimately a public hearing is being proposed for November 15th, where the City Commission would then consider adoption of a resolution to require removal of the structure on or before December 31st. There are three potential options for today. Option number one would be to adopt the proposed resolution, setting November 15th as the public hearing date. Option number two would be to refer this item back to the Building Services Division for additional study as directed by the Commission. And option three would be to decline to set a public hearing for this dangerous structure. Our staff recommends option number one. And if you have any questions either regarding the condition of the structure or of the process, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
I do have a question. I didn't see an option where, is it potentially that we could have this house moved to a new foundation? I know it's expensive to jack one up and then excavate underneath and do that. Could we pour a slab or something and move the house? Is that a possibility, or is the interior in that bad a shape?
It's in very, very bad shape, not only due to the structural collapse, but also due to the additional vandalism due to it being vacant and abandoned for so long. That would have been an option as something to remediate or provide improvements. It would have needed a new foundation elsewhere. The parties that have financial interest in this have not responded as that they desire that as an option.
Okay, and if we do demolish this house, the bill goes to?
The fiscal impact of today is there is no fiscal impact, just to adopt the resolution. But of course, if this carries forward to ultimately at the hearing where you would determine that the house needs to be demolished, the owners would have the option to do that prior to December 31st. If that did not occur, then the city would take steps to abate it itself, meaning spending money to demolish the house, and then the city would seek to recover those expenses following the procedures of Chapter 9 of the Uniform Code for abatement of dangerous buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have confirmation that Ms. Manwaring actually received these notices? Have we heard from her, or did we personally serve her with copies of this notice?
These were sent out certified mail, and the certification has been returned to us indicating that they were received.
And is she the one that signed for them?
There were, I believe, 5 different potential owners or heirs to the previous owner who passed away. And additionally, there is the lien holder, the mortgage holder, that was also served.
So is this owned by this Vanessa Manwaring, or is it tied up in an estate, or the actual owner? Do we know?
I'm not entirely sure.
Sounds like we can confirm the status and make sure that we're reaching the right folks.
I do have the answer. The 5 errors were identified by doing a research on the title, and it was discovered that it was filed in court that the heirs were identified, one of which was Vanessa Manwaring, and then there are 4 other heirs. These are all siblings, children of the deceased owner. So that's how we got those names and sent notices to those 5, and we also sent notices to 2 institutions representing a financial interest, mortgage holders, banks, that kind of thing. So we had 7 different people. And just to set the record straight, Joel Manwaring did sign the certified letter that was sent to Vanessa Manwaring, and they are, I understand, married. Vanessa was identified as one of the siblings. The certified mail is allowed to be signed by anybody who wishes to sign and receive it. It's different than registered mail. If we had sent it registered, which we aren't required to do, registered mail would have required Vanessa to sign for it. Certified mail can be signed for somebody else who takes responsibility for that piece of mail.
Sue, is this is coming back to me, I'm sorry, was this the property we checked and learned that there had been a determination of dissent proceeding conducted?
Correct. I
That
couldn't
was the-
remember what it was called.
And it's all completed and
Yes, I'm
closed
sorry.
out.
We, some time ago, Sue and I had talked about this, and we did pull the file, and there was a dissent proceeding conducted, and I'd forgotten the names, but I understand that those are the names that were, to which the property was assigned by the court in that dissent proceeding.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
Right.
So that dissent procedure then identifies Vanessa as being the primary. Or I guess I'm still confused as to how we sent certified mail to her. Was she somehow prioritized over the other siblings? Okay.
Just one of 5.
this was just a sample of the 5 that went out, am I correct, Sue?
Yes.
Yeah, so one would have gone to each, is my understanding.
Oh, okay.
This was just a sample of the, if I'm understanding correctly, the notices that went out, one to
Okay.
each of those that had been, they would be equal undivided interest holders as a
Okay.
result of the dissent proceeding, so.
Does anyone happen to know what the cost is for something like a demolition on that?
Very rough estimates are somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000, not including any tipping fees for the building materials to be disposed of.
Okay.
We would, however, put that out for bid if it became the city's obligation to abate this.
Okay. Thank you. Further questions? Is there any public comment? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I move we adopt resolution number 10-6770, setting the date for a public hearing to consider whether a certain structure shall be condemned and ordered demolished or repaired.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 10-6770. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0.
Item 8.14, resolution number 10-6771, establishing a moratorium on enforcement of licensing provisions within Chapter 22 of the Salina Code pertaining to mobile home parks and trailers.
Mr. Hobby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Commissioners, you have before you a resolution that would establish a moratorium on the licensing portion of the mobile home parks. This will not establish any moratorium on the nuisance abatements nor any of the minimum housing codes that are in these parks. What we found over this past year that we needed to look at, review, and update our mobile home ordinances, and the City Attorney's Office has been contracted to do that, and we are in the process of reviewing those revisions, and they're considerable, in fact. Our next step will be to, once you place a moratorium on the licensing portion, will be to obtain a list of all the licensed mobile home park owners, get them in their hands the actual new changes to the ordinances, and have several meetings with them to update the new codes and bring those new codes back to you for a 2011 new licensing program for the city of Salina. This past year, we spent considerable amount of time looking at various mobile home parks. One of the parks spent considerable time removing a lot of the old nuisances and the minimum housing issues that were in that park, and felt like we needed to do a complete review of our city codes before we went any further. We happen to have one, if not two, mobile home parks who have yet to license in 2010, partially because of the new regulations, or at least the complete enforcement of the old regulations or the existing regulations this time. They're having a very tough time getting their license renewed because of the processes dealing with their mobile home parks. They are quite extensive. So we feel like we need to, one, have a moratorium on the licensing enforcement for this year, as well as look at our codes and update those in the future for 2011 and beyond. So today we'd like for you to pass a resolution that would put a temporary moratorium on the enforcement of mobile home park licensing features.
Seems
Stand for
reasonable.
questions.
Thank you. Is there questions?
How many total licenses do we have out right now?
I believe there's 11 total.
Okay, and the age of most of these parks are?
Old. We've not had a new park since early 1980s. We have several parks who slide by our regulations very easily. They're kept up to date and they do not have any issues. And we have some that we just, as example, earlier this year, took 8 cubic yard containers of debris and miscellaneous items away from that park in a cleanup process.
Do we have any areas that are zoned for mobile home parks right now that are not being occupied?
No, there are no areas in the city that will be zoned for mobile home parks.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any public comment? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 10-6771, establish a moratorium on the enforcement of mobile home park licenses.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution number 10-6771. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 4-0.
Mayor, I move to recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss with legal counsel matters subject to the attorney-client privilege for the reason that public discussion of those matters would waive the privilege and adversely affect the city's interest in the matters, and to discuss confidential data relating to the financial affairs and trade secrets of a corporation for the reason that public discussion of the information would competitively disadvantage the corporation, and reconvene at 5:20 p.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we recess into executive session for 30 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are in executive session. Do you expect any action?
We do not.
Thank you.
If I fill this out, do I turn this into you? Or?